Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Mr. Irwin, ready to bring to you a brand new unit, a new topic of study. Today we're going to start our unit on integers, and today also talk about absolute value. Right at the beginning, let's talk about integers. I hope this is a word most math teachers have used or you've heard in a math class in years prior. Essentially, an integer is a whole number and their opposites. Whole numbers are numbers starting at 0 and counting up. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. They will continue forever all the way to positive infinity. And then their opposites would be the negative versions of those numbers. -1, -2, -3, all the way to negative infinity. That kind of coincides with our next definition, opposites. Those are numbers that are the same distance from 0. So if I look at a number line down below, the number 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right of 0. Its opposite is -4 because -4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 units from 0 as well. +4 is positive because it is to the right. -4 is negative because it is 4 units to the left. Let's try a couple problems out. Our first example is just asking us what is the opposite of 7. So I know +7 is 7 units to the right of 0. So its opposite would be 7 units to the left of 0. The value that is 7 units to the left of 0 is -7. Question 2, what is the opposite of -29? -29 is 29 units to the left of 0, meaning that the opposite of -29 would be 29 units to the right of 0. If you have a number line, you start at 0, you count 29 units to the right, you're going to end up at +29. Now, you can just write this as 29. A number with no sign in front of it is assumed to be positive, or you could also write +29. Both are correct. All right, let's look at our next problem. Let me fold this paper so we have some space. It is asking us to simplify the negative quantity of +15. What this means, when you have a negative sign touching the outside of parentheses, that is a mathematical shortcut, meaning the opposite of the value inside the parentheses. So inside of our quantity, we have the value +15. Because the negative sign is touching the parentheses, it is asking for the opposite of 15. Well, the opposite of +15 is -15 because both values are 15 units from 0. Next expression to simplify, we have the negative quantity of -36. Remember, this negative sign touching the outside of parentheses means the opposite of what's inside. Inside the parentheses, I have -36. The opposite of -36 is +36. All right, I got 4 problems up on the screen for you to try on your own. Go ahead, pause the video, work them out quickly. When you're ready to be checked, replay the video, and we'll see how you did. Hopefully you gave yourself enough time to complete all the problems on the screen. Let's go ahead and go over them together. Number 1, what is the opposite of -52? -52 is 52 units to the left of 0, so the opposite would be 52 units to the right of 0, and in that location you would find +52. What is the opposite of 13? 13 is 13 units to the right of 0 because it is positive, so the opposite would be 13 units to the left of 0. The opposite is -13. The negative quantity of 95 works out to -95. And the negative quantity of -549 works out to +549. All right, next, with integers, we are going to use integers to represent real-world scenarios. So depending on the context of the number in the situation will determine if that integer will be positive or negative. Take a look at the first one. An airplane is flying at an altitude of 20,350 feet above sea level. Represent the situation with a number. Well, the value in this situation is 20,350. Now we need to determine, will that integer be positive or negative? Well, the key word in this, the plane is flying at an altitude of 20,350 above. Above is a keyword for positive because it is increasing in value. So being 20,350 feet above sea level, the integer would be positive 20,350. Our next scenario, earning an allowance of $5. Again, we want to represent the situation with a number. The value in this problem is 5. Will that 5 be positive or negative? If you are earning the allowance, are you gaining wealth or losing it? Earning it means you're gaining, meaning that this 5 would be a positive 5. Positive 5 represents earning an allowance of $5. Our next scenario, the low temperature for Thursday is forecasted to be 3 degrees below zero. And again, we want to represent the situation with a number. The value in the problem is 3. Now, what keyword do you see that would determine if that 3 is going to be positive or negative? Well, I hope you're all pointing to the word below. So below insinuates we are moving down, we are decreasing in value. So if you are 3 degrees below zero, the integer would be negative 3. All right, our next scenario, Leslie lost 2 pounds while dieting. Again, we're going to represent with a number. Leslie lost 2 pounds, so I know my number is going to be 2. What word determines if that 2 will be positive or negative? The keyword you should be looking at is lost. If you are losing weight, is your weight increasing or decreasing in value? Because it is going down, negative 2 would represent losing 2 pounds. All right, here's another one. Scoring no goals in a soccer game. I don't see a number anywhere in this scenario, so we need to determine scoring no goals. What number would represent no score in a soccer game? And hopefully you're all yelling out 0. Now, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so just 0 will be the integer to represent scoring no goals in a soccer game. All right, last one. Go ahead, try this one on your own. Pause the video. We are looking for a number that represents the stock market being down 100 points. Once you complete this on your own, go ahead and hit play again, and we'll see how you did. All right, hope you've completed this problem on your own. We are looking for an integer to represent the stock market being down 100 points. Obviously, 100 will be featured here. The keyword to all of this is down. If the stock market is down, it is decreasing in value. Therefore, our 100 would be a negative 100. Okay, one last component to today's lesson, and that is absolute value. The official definition to absolute value is the distance of an integer from 0. So take a look at these examples. If I wanted to find the absolute value of 6, it would be written in a mathematical expression looking like this. The 6 would be inside of 2 vertical lines. It's like perfectly straight parentheses. If you see that symbol, that represents absolute value. So if I am asking you to calculate the absolute value of 6, that essentially means what is the distance of that number from 0? How many units is 6 from 0? Well, if you had a number line and you started at 0 and counted all the way up to 6, you would count 6 units. So the absolute value of 6 is 6. Let's look at this scenario. The absolute value of negative 6 would be written like this, the negative 6 inside of those absolute value symbols. And now to calculate the absolute value of negative 6, we need to determine how many units from 0 is negative 6. Well, negative 6 is to the left of 0, so if you started at 0 and counted to the left to get to negative 6, it would take you 6 units to get there. So the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. And here's a little illustration showing that distance of 6 and negative 6 on the number line. So the absolute value of 6 is 6 units from 0 to the right. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6 because it is 6 units to the left. One key thing to remember, absolute value measures distance, and distance is always positive. All right, let's work out a couple examples together. Our first one, we have negative 15 inside of these absolute value brackets, meaning we need to calculate the absolute value of negative 15. To do that, we decide how many units is negative 15 from 0. Well, if you started at 0 and counted down to negative 15, you would need to count 15 places. The absolute value of negative 15 equals 15. Number 2, the absolute value of 26. How far from 0 is 26? It is 26 units away. So the absolute value of 26 is 26. I'll take a look at this. The negative absolute value of negative 45. Let's just take a look inside of the absolute value brackets first. What is the absolute value of negative 45? Well, negative 45 would be 45 units from 0. But now remember, this negative sign touching the outside of quantities means the opposite of what's inside. So if the absolute value of negative 45 is 45, then the opposite of that works out to negative 45. Last one, the negative absolute value of 9. Again, the absolute value of 9 is 9 because 9 is 9 units from 0, but we want the opposite of that, so the opposite of 9 is negative 9. All right, last couple are for you. Please try these on your own. Write them down on a sheet of paper. Perform the calculations independently. Once you finish them all, start playing the video again to check to see how you did. All right, let's check your work. Number 1, the absolute value of 841 equals 841. Number 2, the absolute value of negative 94 is 94. The negative absolute value of 64 works out to negative 64. And finally, the negative absolute value of negative m equals negative m. Go ahead and complete the independent practice assignment on integers and absolute value. Take a picture of your work and upload that file for submission. See you guys next time.